good evening, everyone. Gary Redmond here. It is worth celebrating despite the weekend that we had. And the reason for all this is quite simple. Tonight, we have reached a milestone. It is our 100th episode of New York Red Bull Discussion Group, the podcast. And thank you for all that's been involved in giving us a whole lot of support. This show is dedicated most of all to you, although it is your show. But as far as the weekend is concerned, well, not so much. We're going to talk about, of course, the beatdown that was over in Columbus with the Columbus Crew giving the New York Red Bulls a dose of reality. And it was a bitter pill to swallow for not just for the players, but for the fans as well. Of course, we're going to talk about what we're going to get ready for, which is going to be the experience on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. as Inter Miami Football comes into the Cathedral to take on the Red Bulls. And tonight we have a very special guest, which is none other than Michael Lewis of Front Row Soccer. He's going to talk to us all about the doings, not just with the New York Red Bulls, but soccer, and of course, in the New York metropolitan area. Stick around for that. For those of you in the live audience tonight, hope you guys got your questions for the man, and we're going to be reading them, of course, during the show. Lastly, of course, there were some games. So the New York and Gotham FC played in front of a very good crowd in the NWSL Challenge Cup. And, of course, New York Red Bull 2 started their debut for their season at Columbus, and they did pretty well. We're going to talk about that as well. Of course, standing schedules and prediction, which is a dangerous part of our show. And we're going to talk, we're going to basically discuss that. And we've said this from day one. If you missed the live show, don't worry about it. You can always catch the recording on our YouTube channel, goals.tv, and, of course, Spotify. The very next day, it's going to be uploaded on the next one. And, of course, as always, if for any reason, if you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions, you want to make this show better than it is, this is where we need your help. Please email us at rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. I'm seeing a lot of folks giving us a lot of congratulations. A little bit of thing. Carlos Cano cannot make it, of course, because he had some school situation to do, and of course, the one and only Miguel Nunez. He had some personal issues. He had to could not attend because he had some issues that he has to take care of. He apologizes to everyone. Hopefully, both men will be back next week, and so even then, I got two stellar teammates helping me out with this great celebration that is our 100th episode. Lanre Badmus and, of course, Mark Coates. Gentlemen, good evening. I am not going to ask how was your weekend because I've been hearing about it since Saturday. Okay, so we're not going to.
It was so-so.
So-so. Okay, explain.
Well, the second team won. So that was
just the reason why we're wearing
these guys. These guys, Red Bull 2, not 1, 2.
We're so shameless, aren't we?
Goddamn right.
Look at that. Look at Lanre just shaking his head like.
I need to get on that wave, man. I need a couple of them shirts, man. I only have one shirt.
The only reason why I'm wearing this shirt is because it's their opening weekend, and and they're gonna have a home game this Sunday. They're gonna also have another home game this Wednesday. U.S. Open Cup.
Let's get it.
Dudes need to show up on that one. Okay, you really need to show up on that one, if nothing else. I know a lot of people have been grousing about the U.S. Open Cup, how MLS is not giving it the treatment that it richly deserves. Part of it, of course, is U.S. Soccer's fault for not really pumping up the event, which it belongs to them and no one else. But part of the reason why a lot of teams thought that, this isn't worth it. I'm not sending my crew to face off against, family and friends. It's because some of the fans and major league soccer teams just refuse to show up. So I'm giving that invitation out to everyone. There is a U.S. Open, regardless if it's the first team or second team or whatever team, show up. They're there for the cup. So do so, okay? For many of you people who are Red members, this game is free. Okay, you basically got the tickets in your plan. So I don't want to hear any excuses other than
parking is free.
Yeah.
They are waiving parking fees at the parking garage.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is show up.
This is a free game. Just show the hell up. Okay. I mean, the only thing that on Wednesday, rain is in the forecast.
Of course.
But it's the biggest parking deck in all of MLS Next Pro.
Yeah.
We used to say USL. Now we have to say MLS Next Pro.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of viewing from the parking garage if the rain gets too abundant. But show up.
Yeah, please do show up. Show up for the boys. At the end of the day, it's on the boys. But now let's
Speaking
focus
of
on
showing up or not showing up.
let's focus on that, shall we?
Mm.
Columbus.
I have one word.
Go ahead.
Duncan. With that word on everybody's mouth all day Saturday night.
If it's not Duncan, it's Rays.
We'll get to that when I do my tactical thing. But people are jumping on Reyes. I didn't see that he was that bad, but Duncan was just a glaring mess.
I
wanted him to get a red card.
It was a hot mess for that.
You wanted him sent off.
So you guys know, okay, I have a soft heart for Kyle Duncan because he and I, we're Crooklyn, okay? He's been born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm a Brooklyn boy myself, okay? I was born in Harlem, yes, but I was raised in Brooklyn. So we both have, affinity with one another. But that night disappointed me immensely. They just abused that brother. In fact, the Columbus crew were exactly who we thought they were, okay? We knew that they were, well, not just the defending champs, but they were an elite side, okay? Their only injury was Alexandru Matan. That's it. The Red Bulls were going up against one of the sides that were truly, fully healthy, fully loaded and loaded to bear. So we all thought, we know that we haven't, they haven't won a game there since 2021. Before that, what was that, Lanre? 2015? I mean, so it was a tough assignment coming in. Still, there's always hope, right? We're hoping that, that was years ago. This is this year. Let's see, if the team can able to step up and make some noise against the champs. Well, we didn't wait long. 13 minutes in. And before I show this clip, I know a lot of people asking me, Gary, why are you showing a clip of the losing team? Because we're contractually obligated to do so because we get this stuff from the league. So we have to show it. But the ball went over the team, and they actually received a warning shot, if I'm not mistaken, Lanre. There was a deep ball over them from the back, went literally over the midfield, right to a forward, and we all held our breath and said, thank goodness he missed. Well, 13 minutes into that.
We've done a decent job so far. Amundsen has gone for Yeboah again, second time tonight. Reyes stretching to keep it in the middle for Cucho! Unstoppable. When Columbus could have played this ball in behind, doesn't Amundsen put it right into stride of Yeboah, who does so well just to pull it, peel wide, hold this run, and at the last second, he cuts inside, he breaks the line, but he needs somebody middle of the frame, and that's where this man has popped up time and again. Cucho Hernandez, the ball square to him, and for him, that is easy pickings, top in.
Well, we wondered if we was able to keep Cucho Hernandez off the score sheet. The answer was an emphatic no. Okay. No. There was more. There's more. There's more. We talked about how the team was lackluster, right? We talked about how it was a gut punch right from the beginning after you were duly warned that this is how they were going to play this team. It happened again. Mr. Russell Rowe.
Two unbeaten sides going head-to-head here. And two changes on the way for the Red Bulls, who've got Cucho setting up Russell Rowe, scored from distance last week, scores again! A confidence on show from champions.
Talk about their quality, their build-up in transition. This is frightening. How quickly Morris comes in off the back. He pitches the ball. Cucho Hernandez on the half turn. Just sets Russell Rowe going forward. Quick to pick up his head, releases it. Perfect weight on the ball for Russell Rowe to stride onto. And that, for a confident striker, is an easy finish. Picks out the corner. Puts his ball right through the middle of the ball and puts Columbus Crew up to a commanding 2-0 lead.
Did anybody see how Jaden Russell Rowe just simply slipped past Andre Reyes off his shoulder and ran ahead? I mean, once he was ahead, he stayed ahead. There was one thing about Reyes, and we always hold our breath whenever he's playing central defense, as he's not dealing with someone who's pacey, right?
Yeah.
That's his kryptonite. That's his weakness. He constantly gets flat-footed against guys like that. Took advantage. 10 minutes after that, game, set, match. Mr. Aiden Morris.
Check is complete. It will be the corner. Rossi takes it, takes a flick on near post, turned in by Morris. It's 3-0 Columbus. And it will be 3 points surely now tonight for the reigning MLS Cup champions.
Who made the run that led to this corner? Zawadzki making that near post run. It's by design. Rossi is trying to hit that near post. So now Zawadzki to flick it on, and then Morris completely unmarked. There's an inquest between defenders of whose mark that was, but Morris just needs to make contact. Just needs to provide a platform with his body to redirect the ball into the net. It's as easy as it comes. But they played it that way, Columbus Crew. For the way they played tonight, the intensity.
That sound of the jackhammer was probably reverberating through every New York Red Bulls supporter's heads throughout the entire weekend. And so a good start was marred by a very terrible loss in Columbus. Final score was 3-0. Hernandez with a goal and an assist. He was the man of the match. Russell Rowe in the 56th minute. Morris 10 minutes after that. I mean, when you look at the stats, okay. Oh, by the way, Edelman received a red card. He will be missing from the match versus Inter Miami. Look at this: 3 shots on goal, 1 on target for the New York Red Bulls. I mean, they were outrun, outgoaled, outclassed in every metric in that game. You want to talk about not showing up in front of the champs, and those who traveled to the game, and they did. Those who traveled to the game witnessed this live and in color. I'm sure they all had their feelings hurt while drinking down some beers. Lanre, I'm going to leave the rest to you because I know you were heated after looking at the replay. There were a lot of things that went wrong.
There was way too much that went wrong, man. Way too much that went wrong. It seems like a simple ball over the top. It's kind of similar to, I think it was Amundsen who played that ball.
Yeah, twice.
Twice. Look at that. That's the same one. That's the same way he just destroyed LAFC in the MLS Cup final with. He just turned us all into Swiss cheese. Russell Rowe turned Andres Reyes into Swiss cheese. We just completely fell asleep. We didn't look like we cared. I know they're the defending champs, but you at least got to put up a fight. And it seems like we just laid down and just let them get whatever they want. I think maybe it had something.
I wouldn't say they would lay down. I would say that they were the better team, but
of course.
We're not taking anything away from Columbus.
No,
but that first goal, you saw how Carlos Coronel just simply slumped his shoulders like, oh, this is going to be a long night.
Yep, he knew it right away, man. Right away. Kyle Duncan, Roy on that right side.
How did my girlfriend put it? They took your manhood, put it in a blender, okay, and put it out there for all to see. That's basically what it came down to. I mean, she expected this. I said, wait a minute, I thought this team was resilient. Not that night. Sorry. Resiliency was locked up in a closet. Okay? They were locked up in a closet. Even if, we spoke to the coach, Lanre, after the game. Basically asked him, okay, what are the lessons you learned here? He agreed. There was a lot of lessons that need to be learned here. I mean, remember, we're dealing with a coach who has not had a sniff of Major League Soccer. Well, you just played the champs. You just got your head handed to you. What are you going to do now? How are you going to respond? And mind you, this is the first game of many the Rebels have a very rough schedule starting off. Guess who's next? We're going to talk about that, of course, in about a minute. But after that, you got FC Cincinnati. After that, then you got Orlando. I mean, the pain doesn't stop. Okay. The only thing is Messi may not be there. Okay. But Suarez will be there. And maybe half a team. Half the guys are injured on that. Again, we'll talk about that later. But let's put a cap on this, Lanre. I mean, do you just simply say, okay, forget that game and move on? Or you try to stiffen up your defense? Mind you, we haven't heard from Rays may start next week because we haven't heard anything from Sean Nealis. He's still out with an abductor injury. Okay. Yeah, still out. Your forwards, okay. They're on a milk carton. Van Zier, hamstring. Okay. Hamstring. And then, of course, we have Sean Burke. Well, he's with the Reggae Boys. That leaves Mr. I'm going to score anytime when Charlotte shows up and disappear when they're not. I mean, is this the time for you to hit the panic button at this point?
What? No, absolutely not. That's just what, game 4? We started the season off well. Granted, we played injured teams every time, and this was the first relatively healthy team we faced. It was a great test for us. Unfortunately, the boys failed, and they failed miserably, some a lot worse than others. This is a game where you definitely want to just kind of move on from, kind of put that in the rearview mirror, but definitely take the lessons you learned from this game because there were a lot. And defending champions really put on a clinic. You really want to take the lessons you learned from this game, apply it to the rest of the season, make sure you really don't get beat that badly and you're not that hapless ever again the rest of the season, as much as you can. And honestly, I think part of it was the fact that we were the ones wearing yellow in Columbus and they were the ones wearing black. Made no gosh darn sense at all. None. Absolutely
should have
none.
been wearing red.
We should have worn red. At least even if we still looked good doing it. We wore the piss jerseys, man. Whoa,
I'm not going to complain about a team and what they wear, but you know what they say, the team, makes the uniform, right? If the team doesn't perform, well, this is what you get. Okay, this is exactly that. Or I'm not saying that this should be a one-off, but I think the fans should really be I think the fans should really be realistic about this squad. Okay. We said this right off the bat. I said, okay, when you have a squad that is not quite ready for this, okay. I like the signings that they brought in. Noah Ellie, okay, who's been terrific, but he was playing against teams that were not fully healthy. Today he played against a team that was fully healthy, and he was missing in action. They put that boy in a box and did not let him out. Didn't do that. Okay. Forsberg, you hardly heard from that guy.
Invisible.
Morgan, also invisible. They made sure he never saw a sniff of that ball. In fact, he never had a shot on goal. This is what elite sides do to you. They remove you from the ball. Now they started making a little headway toward the end, toward the second half, but at that point it was too little, too late. Okay. The only thing that we can only hope for is they bounce back with this. Let's talk about Inter Miami. Suarez is out there scoring goals all of a sudden. But this is something that we expected. However, okay, I'm looking at the injury list here. This is the report that you sent me. Half the squad is missing. So is ours. So at this point, despite that, is there any good news for the fans that's coming in Saturday afternoon? Or this is going to be more of the same?
Maybe Suarez's knees decide not. Maybe Suarez has half a knee left of his two actual knees. Maybe they just stop working all of a sudden. He doesn't have his shooting boots on, and he skies every chance, and we smash and grab a 95th minute winner and get the hell out of Harrison as quickly as possible.
or don't go because we sold our tickets.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm still going to sell mine, man. I'm mad, bro.
I mean, to underscore what Lanre is talking about, the Red Bulls are ranked right now 18th in goals scored, which is basically 1.0. So they're basically scoring a goal a game. Meanwhile, Inter Miami is first in goals scored. So we're dealing with a team that's going to test our depth right now, something that I complained about. So here we are. Mark, any good news out of this? I mean, because I'm looking here and
we're gonna get to see some of the kids playing come Saturday. That might be the only good news. We're gonna find out. There's we're in a situation here where we're gonna basically be throwing together whatever we've got left. And it's kind of terrible. I'm actually glad I'm not going to this game. I'll be happier to sit home and cry on my couch. But it's gotten to that point where it's like, I mean, I've watched a lot of these younger kids, and it was mentioned earlier that during garbage time, which was probably the second half of Saturday's game, why Schwartz didn't put a couple of the kids in and just say, all right, wave the white flag, like we're done. Especially after the second goal. It's like, all right, we've got nothing going on. We don't have a solution to even come close to getting a shot on goal, making any type of a move. And we started to look better in the first half.
Right.
Towards the end of the first half.
Right.
It looked like we were figuring some stuff out. And I was thinking, all right, maybe we sneak out of here with a 1-1. Maybe we find a way. And then when the second goal got scored, and you saw everybody just sort of look at each other. And I was like, yeah, we're done. We're done. And I literally said to my wife, I said, I'm going to go use the TV in the bedroom because, it's the smaller TV. And I gave her the TV and I said, watch whatever you want. I said, I'm going to go hide out in the bedroom. And that's where I finished watching the game. We've got such a short bench as it is. And you have injuries. You have guys going away on international duty, Olympic duty. Who's left? We were during our discussion before the show, why Corey Burke feels the need to go sit on the bench in Jamaica, is just beyond me. And I held my tongue, but dude, you're on a milk carton. Climb off the milk carton, score a goal against Miami. Give this crowd something to like you for, because right now none of us can stand you. I mean, you were mad because you had a goal disallowed in the previous game. You were 4 yards offside. You knew you were offside. Why are you looking at the referee? Why are you looking at the assistant referee? You knew you were offside. I mean, and then he has the opportunity in the box, and he's got 2 left feet, and he can't get a shot on. What are
To
you going to
answer
do
your
with this guy?
question, Lisa, Lisa, she works nights. That's why she can't.
I don't
she
think
can't.
we could take listening to her talk shit.
No, there'd be fights in
Yeah.
the virtual studio.
Yeah. You'd see things thrown at Garry off screen.
I mean, remember,
Yeah.
she hates the squad.
But like I said, but this is sort of like one of those situations where, all right, because this is basically going to be half of the two team. But the thing is, they got to play Wednesday, and then they got to play Sunday night.
Yeah.
So how many bodies can you really throw out there? That's going to be it's going to be a difficult situation for Schwartz. Who do you even have available? And then you make the best out of what you've got, and Cornell is going to be away on international. Yeah. Mira still has the groin injury. So are they actually going to start Mira and have AJ be the backup? Or are they going to give AJ the start? I was hoping AJ was going to get the start.
Ugly.
Yeah, I don't even want to think. Listen, and
No.
my kids have walked Ryan out a bunch of times at MSU. And I think he's a wonderful guy. Every time they do the walk around in the stadium, every time they do the walk around the stadium,
tears are welling up in Lanre's eyes now.
He'll always wave. He's a great guy. He waves to me and my kids. He always takes the time to say hello. But the last thing I want to see is that man standing in goal on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon.
You might.
Yeah, I know he was on the bench, and that's what worries me. And AJ started Sunday night or last night, and he got the clean sheet. He only faced one shot. I mean, he couldn't have worked that hard. So I don't know who's going to start Wednesday night. That's going to be the interesting thing.
Here's something I kind of want to mention real quick.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of this is on MLS for deciding to just not honor international breaks. You're scheduling this game between Red Bull New York and Inter Miami early on in the season. You have a huge opportunity for that to be an early season marquee matchup. Why are you having it on the international break when at least 2/3 of both combined rosters are probably going to be out away on international duty? And then another thing, my boy Emil Forsberg. Why are you going to Sweden for a useless friendly against Albania, bro? You'd rather do that than play with us? Bro, come on.
I mean, I get it. But as I stated before, and I'll state it again, international squads are better, not better, more important than club squads. This is almost like an obligation. For a guy like Forsberg, he will probably not make their top team. Okay. So this is just a run out for him. They view, I mean, there are a lot of folks over in Sweden that are watching us now because Forsberg is with the New York Red Bulls. So because his presence on the team, it kind of elevates, this squad, to your point, Lanre. Okay. So they are watching us, especially folks over in Leipzig. I'm hearing some great words, up until the loss, that's up until the loss. Which, hey, we knew that this team was not going to be undefeated. I mean,
of course.
But as I said before the game, right? 7 points out of 4 matches ain't not that bad. Okay, we'll take it. We knew there's going to be bumps in the road. That was one of them. There's going to be more, kids. There's going to be more, and they have, as far as Inter Miami is concerned, Benjamin Kermachi, not available. Facundo Faras, who used to terrorize us on a good day, not available. Franco Negri, off the bench, not available. Ian Frey, not available. Nicholas Freire, not available. Robbie Robinson, remember him? He scored a brace the last time he was in Red Bull Arena, not available. Okay? So there's a little bit of daylight there. Okay? If they start Mera, who I like, well, I hope they don't. Okay. It's England. It's going to be a very ugly afternoon at the Cathedral. The last time he played the game, remember what happened then? It did not go so well. I mean, it was pretty hard for fans to not boo him off the field, which they did anyway. And I think to our point, and here's Diego Garcia, playing for your national team is the ultimate art in footy. A guy his age has a handful of calls left, and he knows it. So this is it. To answer your question, Lanre, why is he going? That's why.
That's true. I know.
You're not going to pass this up. I mean, even when Henry, was playing for us, I didn't see him jetting off to ball with France.
He retired.
He retired at that time. So he's not, he's not me. But if you really want to blame the league on this, fine. But also blame the league for having a roster that's cut in half. You got a coach. Remember, Schwartz, just like a Struber, coached in Europe. They got squads good enough, but there were teams, not teams. Okay, you had a bench level A, you had a bench level B. You ain't got that here in Major League Soccer. You got your 11 and whatever that's left from 12 to 24. So you got half a squad, and most of those guys that filled that squad are kids from our academy. They had to be signed because their parents were banging on the door. Sign my kid, or he's going to Europe. Well, to me, I would have, called your parents bluff. But we're going to talk about that and more, of course. But, with our special guest, Michael Lewis, who is about to show up in about 30 seconds. And when he does, I hope the folks or the live audience, if you got any questions for Lewis, and he's been around the block when it comes to these sort of things, not just with the Red Bulls, but basically with soccer all the way around. Lanre is licking his chops. Mark is licking his chops. I know some of the folks over in the audience are licking his chops. Michael Lewis, everybody, he'll be with us to answer those questions about the Red Bulls and Major League Soccer in general. Stick around. We'll see you in 30 seconds. Now, when I say this gentleman, and I do mean this in the most appreciative fashion, has been around the block when it comes to soccer, not just here, but internet. This man has literally seen front row. I mean, when they say front row soccer, this basically had a front row seat when it comes to almost every final in MLS that he attended. He's also attended World Cups. He's also attended, many games that you can make your grandchildren. This dude, okay, and I don't mean to say dude, this gentleman, okay, distinguished above all soccer writers, is probably the reason why he is aptly named the soccer writer. And we are very proud, honored, and extremely pleased to have him on our guest on our show for our 100th episode. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Michael Lewis. Sir, good evening, and thank you for joining us today. I think a lot of folks have a lot of questions regarding the Red Bulls and a lot of what's happening in soccer with the U.S. Open Cup, how MLS is basically mistreating it like a stepchild. I don't understand why that is. But before we even go there, folks want to know, especially some of your readers over in Front Row Soccer, I'm sure they watched the game. I'm sure they saw the horror show that happened in the capital city of Ohio. Let's hear your take just to start things off. We mentioned we know what's wrong with these Red Bulls. Okay, what can be done to fix it?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate the introduction and congratulations on the 100th episode. How many hours do you have? And I think I think people in the studio and the fans have some intriguing ideas. Boy, I try not to panic after one game. Don't get me wrong. Columbus sliced and diced the Red Bulls up. No doubt about it. Early on, I'm thinking, man, if the Red Bulls don't get their act together, this could be a long game. And actually, at halftime, I think I tweeted, Red Bulls are pretty fortunate it's only 1-0 at the time. It should be 3-0. I just had that gut feeling. And I was very, very surprised that they were just allowing them to get in on their doorstep and just continually keep the ball. It was a clinic, essentially a clinic. Boy, I think it's one of those games. They've got to learn from it, but also forget about it as well, too. As you said, Garry, Columbus is an elite team. Very few holes. Red Bulls started their season very on an optimistic note. You're talking about what? 4 points in 2 road games, a home victory. I look at things, you've got to be a scavenger. Just take the points. Thank you very much. Yes, they might have been playing healthy teams, but thank you very much. I expected more of the Red Bulls. I really expected more of the Red Bulls in the second half of Columbus, because usually when teams are trailing at halftime, they come out with a lot more spirit. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, holy, you know what? Columbus is not giving the ball up, and the Red Bulls aren't getting it at all. And by the time the people like Emil Forsberg got the ball, it was 3-0, and it was way too late. Okay. You asked me what has to be done. The team needs at least one true striker, a number 9, to go with Lewis Morgan up front, no doubt about it. And I think they need another midfielder too, and probably a wake-up call to the defense back there. Yeah, Sean Nealis, he might not be an MLS All-Star, but you know what you're going to get from him every game. He's going to put his heart into it. He'll make mistakes, but I don't think he's going to make blunders. And that's, I think, the big difference between him and perhaps Reyes. And let's face it, Nealis has better speed than Reyes as well, too. But the Red Bulls, I'm encouraged by their start. Fortunately for them, this gut punch came early in the season. They could learn from it. The fact, I was on the conference call, Zoom press conference afterwards, listening to Schwartz and Forsberg. I like the fact that they were humble. They didn't make excuses. They said, hey, we were beaten. We deserve to lose. Maybe they should have also said we deserve to lose by that score as well, too. It could have been 4 or 5-0. Like I said, this team needs at least 2 players to put them over the top. The Red Bulls still could make the playoffs. Fortunately for them, it's early in the season. What can they do moving on? That's the question I have for them. Beyond even this weekend's game, which could be a fiasco and a half if things don't play well. Heck, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry for this long soliloquy here.
No.
But Schwartz, I think it comes down to picking out the right formation and tactics. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe they turn into a counterattack. I know the Red Bulls are supposedly this great pressuring team, which we hardly saw it this past weekend.
Counter-press, that sort of thing, yeah. But a
maybe,
little tinkle wouldn't be hard.
But maybe they try to absorb some pressure. But then again, after seeing what the defense did and didn't do last week, maybe that's not the best thing. I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now. Monday is way too long for me to start thinking of tactics for the next weekend, but that's just something.
The first question, of course, is from our good friend Vincent Escobar. He says, why it's been difficult for the front office to find a striker? Are they looking for the wrong type of player, or do they need to switch up their approach when looking for a forward? Your thoughts on that? I mean,
very good question.
Just so you know, Vincent brings the heat. He does.
I'll probably swing and miss at this too, but good question. You just have to wonder how much money they have to spend for a quality striker. I mean, the Red Bulls got very, very lucky when they got Bradley Wright Phillips. We never heard of him before he joined the Red Bulls, and look what he turned into. An incredible goal scorer. Yes, Henri said he should have had 300 goals with him feeding him the ball, but BWP was superb. Sometimes you get lucky. Right now, the Red Bulls have not found anyone that makes me sweat at all. Lewis Morgan, great addition a couple of years ago, but they need someone else.
Someone else that where the defense is not going to zero in on and remove him off the chessboard like Columbus did. I mean, they just said, okay, we're going to make sure that Forsberg don't get the ball. We're going to make sure that Lewis Morgan don't get the ball, and that was it. That took care of them offensively.
How much money does the Red Bulls want to spend, and how much money do they have to spend? I mean, Forsberg comes from another Red Bull team, which obviously helps out financially. But over the last several years, it's not like they've been maybe, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but maybe they haven't spent as much. But, you got to find
Kamala cost about $5 million last I checked, but he pouted and groused and complained, and next thing you know, he was gone because he wasn't getting the ball enough. That sounds like most wide receivers, and I want to watch Giants football. But it's not alone. You can spend $10 million. Serious, you can spend $10 million and have a Kamala type. How's that going to look? So I'm sure they're doing their homework on that area. They know they need a striker, but before they part some money to anybody, they better make sure that the guy they have is the guy that's going to hit the ground running, because of the way the team is set up right now, boys and girls. And we have talked to some of the guys, the media has talked to folks in the front office. I'm sure they need someone who can hit the ground running. Now, I hear this word about Olivia Giroud, being bandied around. As much as I want to believe that'll happen, this is something we're going to have to wait and see it happens. He picked two cities, L.A., New York.
It wasn't us.
I don't think he's.
It wasn't us. He wants to go to New York City. I'd already read about that.
On a baseball field for what?
Doesn't matter. Money's money.
Doesn't matter. Money is money.
The other part of this too is that guys keep forgetting that we have a reputation, even in international circles. People don't want to.
Right.
Yeah. People don't want to come play for us, because they hear that you have to run way too much in practice, that it's constantly run, and we also haven't won anything, So we're not the poster child for New York football, and this is just going based upon, and again, it's one of the things that I know I had spoke to someone, and I'll keep the name out of it, but we had spoken at length last year at one of the Red Bull 2 games, and he talked about how we have been dumpster diving for a striker since Bradley Wright Phillips retired. We're actually left our organization, but we Jorgensen cost $2 million. He was useless. Van Zier was $4 million, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then like Klamala, nothing. It's like, we signed Burke. He's useless. Manuel wanted to come back. We didn't pay him a whole lot of money, but he still hasn't really done much unless your name was Charlotte. He scored 1 goal against the team not named Charlotte. Where are we at? It's a great question. We don't have the answers yet.
Okay, another question from Lisa Votino. This one is for you, Michael. How excited are you to have the World Cup in our backyard, and when do I start as your assistant?
I am looking forward to the World Cup being here again. I covered the 94 World Cup. As it turned out, I only covered one game at Giant Stadium just because the New York Daily News at the time had me going all over the place covering
what
games.
To them? I mean, I know they killed their staff. I mean, they used to, Philly Bondi and the rest of. Oh man, they had an all-star staff that covered soccer this would have been terrific during this period with Messi. This would have been terrific, Michael. But since then, crickets.
Well, by the way, Philip and I probably set a record. We covered 6 World Cups together. That's pretty incredible. The two reporters at the same time. And then we even shared the same room a number of times too, and we're still talking to one another. So, but, this World Cup is going to be unlike the 94 World Cup just because the audience in the U.S. is so much more sophisticated. You could sell out every game 3-4 times over. There's not going to be as greatly expanded this World Cup is. There are not enough games for soccer fans to watch it. You're going to have disappointed fans who can't get to the game. The fact that the final is here, I think it's fantastic. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was convinced it was going to
Dallas.
Well, yeah, right. Arlington.
I've been so angry if it went to Dallas.
And just because, in fact, back in 2022, I asked the FIFA officials, why not?
So now,
why not have it in New York? You know what I mean? You're talking about the most cosmopolitan city and area in the world. It's not just New York City; it's New Jersey as well too. It's this, Connecticut, Long Island, whatever you want to call it. You've just got every nationality here. This is a perfect place. And I thought, okay, they said, oh, it's going to be World Cup. You could have in any city. The World Cup final could be in any city because you've got nationalities from all over the world. And I thought they were just putting it to the wayside. And I'm pleasantly surprised that it was New York. I did not see it coming. I wish I could admit that I saw the prediction on it, but I'm looking forward to it. As for my assistant, well, I think, Lisa, you might have to get in line for that because I had people back in 94 asking if they could be my assistant too. I understand you were only kidding, but I understand. I'll say this. Back in, by the way, 1994, I covered like 17 games over a month, and it wasn't the same city. And I was younger then, and I don't know if I'm going to do 17 games in 2 years because I'm no spring chicken, but it does. Travel takes a lot out of you. The games are fun, but the thing is, you've got to get to the games so early so you can get your seat, get comfortable, because there are so many things happening. A World Cup game literally takes half a day for the media. And I'm not playing the violin. It's just the way it is. You get used to it.
Yeah, I can imagine, how that is. I mean, when I did a lot of road games, reporting with the Red Bulls, the travel, as much as how much fun it was taxing because I said to myself, sheesh, I'm not getting paid by any outlet. And just the logistics was a joke. I mean, there are certain cities that I don't mind traveling to, and there are some cities I hate traveling to. Two of them, of course, is Foxborough and, of course, Chester, because they're just so public transportation adverse. Okay? It's like someone pointing me to the
non-existent is what you want to use. That's the word.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, so you want to take public transportation? Good luck. Let's switch gears a little bit, Michael, and this is what we're talking about. Speaking of coverage, this is something that I've had family and friends walk up to me and they ask me, how did you wind up with a press pass? And I said, well, during my relationship with the club, I met someone who was in the communications department. At that time, it was Willie, Whitehead, and he gave me a press pass for New York Red Bull 2 back in 2015. And it's been a wonderful journey ever since. The one thing that I noticed is that while Major League Soccer has been around, it's been around now for 30 years. So answer me this. Why do you feel that the coverage of the teams, the league, the players have shrank in the last 20 years? Can you put a spotlight on that if you can?
Well, I could definitely do it over the last maybe 5 or 10 years. First of all, newspapers have shrunk tremendously. They've cut their staffs, like you said. And unfortunately, I was part of the purge a number of years ago. I don't know if purge is the right word, but and like it or not, despite the growth of the game, the popularity of the game, soccer is still low sport on the totem pole, particularly in the New York area. When you take a look at all the teams and
Baseball,
whatnot,
football, basketball, hockey. Sorry,
right? College, St. John's College and Seton Hall, even though they didn't make the big dance, but still. And if you take a look, one time way back in the day, you would have 8 to 12 newspapers covering the Red Bulls at Giant Stadium and even at Red Bull Arena too. And I would climb over each other for stories. I mean, it was very, very competitive because you had Ibis there, Alex Giannis from the New York Times, Jack Bell from the New York Times, Frank Gias from the Newark Star Ledger, Brian Lewis from the New York Post. I'm from the New York Daily News as well.
I mean, for a lot of people that don't understand, don't recognize these names. I mean, hey, I'm 47 years old. I remember reading their columns. There were heavyweights back then, okay, and you don't see them. I mean, I'm blessed and lucky to be there, but I look to my left, I look to my right, and sometimes I'll see someone there, others not, and which goes to this question from Travel Pass again with this. We know who he is. He likes to hide behind a pseudonym. Do you feel, Michael, that Apple TV is hurting or helping the expansion of Major League Soccer?
I don't think it's helping it as much as the league would like to see it, because it's a closed door situation. You want to show the product out there. I think they've got to put, like this past weekend, they had every game for free, which was fantastic. But how do you get new fans if you have to pay to watch the game? No one's going to put the money up front until they see the quality that's out there. And I just don't see it happening. I miss the games. I'll tell you what, one thing that I miss, I used to watch games on my living room couch, and maybe I'd have my laptop in front, literally on my lap, tweeting, writing about the game. Now, here I am in my office, not a glorious office, but I love it. But it does the trick. I have a, by the way, because I have to watch all these games on streaming now, I have a second computer right next to me, and it isn't a laptop. I feel like I'm in the Batcave with all these computers here. But what I'm getting at is, I'm getting a little off tangent actually, but I just think the league is missing its mark. One thing I'd love to see the league reveal is how many subscribers they have on Apple TV.
Maybe you're never going to get those numbers. Sorry. That's a trade secret. You're never going to get that, even if you put a gun to their heads. Yeah. I mean, they Apple is weird, right? As much as most soccer fans appreciate their coverage, but at the same time, I'm agreeing with you, Michael. But putting the sport in a walled garden like that hurts. Mm-hmm. They made the game for free that weekend. Why not make it every weekend? I don't get it. What do you stand to lose by making people pay for their teams? This is in the same issue with baseball, guys, Mark, Lanre, that if you lived out in California and if you wanted to see your Yankees, you can't, okay, because of the situation with their regional sports network, which is going by the way of cable TV. It's going bye-bye. You don't want to segment your fans, and we have fans all over the place, not just New York, okay? We got fans in California. We got fans in Texas. We got fans in the Pacific Northwest, where Seattle Sounders are. And yet, in order for them to see the Red Bulls, they, got to pay up. I don't know. I mean, they say they're growing the game, but it sounds like to me that they're shrinking it. I don't want to accuse, apple of trying to destroy soccer, but it almost sounds like, okay, you're going to get messy and nothing else, and you're going to like it. And I'm like, huh? Wait, whoa. I mean, not everybody's into Miami fans, but I get the point. But I'm an old school guy. Okay, I'm used to seeing, sports on free TV nowadays. I mean, remember the yelling and screaming folks had when they put the Chiefs, on Peacock? That was the only way you were able to see that game, is that if you had shelled out $5.99, which is probably the cheapest at the moment. It was almost like, people didn't want to have the games on cable TV until streaming said, "Hold my beer." So there you go.
Well, you bring up a point, Gary. When Michael was talking earlier about the newspapers and stuff, you mentioned your age. I'm 57. Now, Michael, I read you as a teenager. Okay, that's how long I've been reading your columns. I mean, my father brought home the Daily News Monday through Friday, getting off the train. Okay, and then it was there. After dinner, I could go and I could read your column. I could read everybody else's column. All right. And, it was great. Occasionally he brought home what my one teacher referred to as the evil post, but we were a Daily News family. But here's
nice.
I look at my children. Okay. I have two almost 16-year-olds. They wouldn't know a newspaper if it hit them in the head. All right. And that's where we've gone. Especially over and any time I go into a convenience store, there's no longer a rack of newspapers. It just doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And this is coming. I read USA Today. All the other papers. Everything now is online. Everything is. And then when we talk about the Apple TV deal, now you've got one little package. And somebody had said something, I think last week, in the discussion group, was talking about how, DirecTV always had the lock on NFL games, because you could get the Sunday ticket. And now even that's available to pretty much everybody. You can get it streaming now. You don't have to be on DirecTV anymore. Well, that's great. But everybody, and I listen to my father talk and other people talk about when the Giants first played at Giant Stadium. They weren't on the local news, the local stations, because they didn't have sellouts. And you were required to have so many tickets sold. Otherwise, it wasn't shown in your home area. And you would have to watch it traveling away from your home area. And my wife likes the team from Washington. She doesn't get to see her team unless they're playing the Giants. We're not forking out. Yeah, we're not forking out money to watch. But yet, if you had NFL Sunday Ticket, if you're an out of market viewer, you can watch your team wherever you live, and that's great. But that's not helping to grow our sport. The NFL's been around for 100 plus years. MLS has been here 29 years in active service, as they say. But we don't see, like, they're talking about how it's going to help grow this game. I don't see how them putting this on a pay-only service is going to work, because we're in the same boat we were when you had just cable TV and you had to buy all the extra packages. And you have parents, you have people who are going to say, I'm not spending all this money for streaming services. Even myself, I don't have Netflix. I won't get Netflix. I don't want to pay for it. I don't have Peacock. I don't have Paramount Plus. It's when do you stop paying for all these choices? As a season ticket holder, I get the MLS season pass for free, which is great for me. But for the average fan, they can't watch soccer. How is that going to help? And that's sort of where you don't see the coverage, because there is no coverage in the newspaper. Guys like you, Garry, we've had other guys on. Yeah, there's podcasts like we do this, but we don't reach hundreds of thousands of people. How do we grow this game?
Wait a while. We will. We only have 100 episodes. We're kind of young. Lanre, you had a question for Michael.
Okay, yeah. I actually have kind of a devil's advocate question here. This may I hope you're ready. I'm 27. So I remember growing up in high school, reading a lot of your stuff, a lot of your coverage on the Red Bulls. I actually do kind of have a different perspective, a different take on Apple TV and the move to streaming services ubiquitously across all different products and disciplines and types of TV shows and all that. I think for personally, I think for a lot of people, I think the move to streaming actually does make sense. I think for a lot of times for people like my age, like younger millennials or like early Gen Z, we don't want to pay like a whole lot for like cable. And I have files in my house. We don't want sometimes a lot of people we don't want to pay a whole lot for cable for a whole bunch of channels that like we just have no interest in watching. Sometimes we just want to pay for like what we want to watch, and that's
A
it.
la carte services.
A la carte, exactly. A la carte services. The price. I think for us, some of us, the price can be worth it. But do you see that? Do you see this as kind of like um as a problem of like not only still reaching like longtime viewers, but also attracting new viewers who are younger? Do you see this Apple TV, this huge push for streaming? Do you see this as like an issue that could prevent MLS from attracting younger viewers who are new to the game and want to see it grow as well?
It very well could. Listen, I understand why MLS is doing it, because I think the future is likely streaming. I've read enough stories and seen enough data to understand there are like old cable TV shows or stations that are literally becoming ghost channels, where they just show reruns all the time because everything is going towards streaming. I think it's a generational thing. And yeah, I'm an older fogey. I'm used to certain things, maybe things doing things in a certain way. Um, but I just wonder, how do you reach that new generation of players who want to become fans? That's the big thing. You want to get them, I don't want to use the word addicted, but you want to get them passionate about the team. See them watch them on TV, maybe go out to Red Bull Arena, which I still think we're talking 14 years in, it's still the most beautiful stadium in the league. And I know there'll be arguments from other cities, but it's still very, very pretty, even when when no one is there. But you want to find a way
So
to get them.
NYCFC goes, hey, hold my beer in about 3 years.
But you want them to go out and watch. Well, first of all, watch them on TV, get them involved in saying, I want to become a fan. Oh, what is the South Ward about? I want to be a part of that sort of thing. And I know it doesn't happen overnight, but and I understand, again, it's a generational thing. And listen, there's plenty of shows on and channels on cable I really don't care about myself. I wish I could not have to pay for them. Yeah. But that is the big thing. I think it's a question of balance for the league. And I just wonder if the league office, it's a question that they're trying to answer every day, or finding an answer for. How many more times are we going to have to maybe give this weekend for free? I didn't see last weekend coming. I thought it was a great idea, but they have to make a big deal about it, because you want to get these fans, these sports fans, not necessarily even soccer fans, involved. You want them to become fans, soccer fans as well too. But they're not going to put their money down before they see the product. And yeah, it's not just Messi. As good as he is, and I got a strange feeling he's going to miss a few more games this year, but that's a subject for another time. But I think you've got to find a way to turn them on, and before you take their money. I don't know if that makes sense, but
makes perfect sense. Let me get you out of here with this very important question, and I think that we're talking about the elephant in the room, and that is MLS versus U.S. soccer when it comes to the U.S. Open Cup. We have been chronicalizing it ever since the entire fiasco pretty much exploded, like it all through soccer fans like a cheap cigar. Soccer fans who they see whenever they hear the magic of the FA Cup and they romanticize about how can that happen here for smaller clubs, that leads into pro rel. Another thing that I don't think that people fully understand why this nation is not ready for this thing yet. It can happen. It will happen. Probably not in my lifetime, but it will happen one day. But let's focus on the situation. New York Red Bull 2 is playing this Wednesday in the U.S. Open Cup in the place of the senior team that was supposed to play in the U.S. Open Cup. Many of the MLS squads are just sending their 2 teams or their JV squads. As a soccer fan, and I want to focus on that, as a soccer fan, how do you feel about this? I mean, we followed the tournament since we've heard about it, even when a D1 league was not even in existence. And this was after the old NASL days. Again, I'm showing my age. U.S. Open Cup was basically all there was, guys. That's it. You had leagues here and there, but the U.S. Open Cup was the big deal. So how do you feel about MLS simply saying, nah, we got our own. The hell with the U.S. Open Cup. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a mistake for so many reasons. I think it's MLS, I feel, is bullying U.S. soccer. They feel like they have the money and power to do that, and they've gotten away with it. There's only 8 MLS teams, and they're all west of the Mississippi competing in the Open Cup. I'm biased as a writer or a fan, whatever you want to say. I've covered the Open Cup since the late 80s for the New York Daily News or Soccer Week, an old publication in the New York area. Yep. And I understand what giant killing is all about, cup sets, whatever you want to call it. And I just love the fact that, you can have this small team playing this big team and trying to become a giant killer and playing them even, and maybe not getting the win, but also saying, wow, what an entertaining game that was. Look at the minnow almost pulling off an upset. And there's something special about that. And it happens in every country in the world. Why not here? If MLS teams now are being called United and FC and CS because they want to be like Europe, why can't they be like Europe and play in the Open Cup? There are a lot of players on teams that are not competing in the Open Cup that want to play in the Open Cup. Why? It's for a trophy. They want, players and a lot of teams want to win silverware. That's a big deal too. I'm very, very disappointed in MLS. I'm not certain they're going to change their mind for next year. I feel like they might even take a step out and not have any teams in. But I think it's a mistake. Again, if MLS wants to be like all the other leagues in the world, why are they doing this? And let's face it, the Leagues Cup, which is a manufactured competition in the middle of the summer, wipes out a month, and then the league says, "Oh, we have fixture congestion." They cause the fixture congestion. So, as a soccer fan and as a soccer media person, that is my opinion. I'm again disappointed in the league. I hope maybe someone will do some convincing there. I'm not convinced that they could find anyone to do that though.
All right, now we come to the most dangerous part of our show, of course, and we have yet to mention New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. They played in front of 14,000 at Red Bull Arena, only to see the GOAT head in one goal and send everyone unhappy. I watched the game myself, and I was very impressed by the crowd. I was very impressed with people showing up. We follow Gotham FC. We report on their final scores, and many of the fan base here also attend their games. Michael, how do you see Gotham FC? Are as advertised? They seem to have, ever since they won the championship last season, fly baddies fly. They bulked up their squad almost when they simply said, okay, we want to get every big name in here and see what happens. Do you feel that they're doing their bid to increase soccer awareness in the area?
Excuse me, no doubt about it. You know, I don't think very many spectators, media fans, maybe outside of Gotham FC fans, saw a championship coming. A fantastic job by them.
Magnificent run. I was at, my partner was at a Chronicle with the Red Bull News Network. He was actually there at the final in San Diego.
Wow.
And it was fun for me to watch. We know many of our friends, of course, with the Cloud9 supporters group, and they're still Cloud9 after that win. So I'm jealous. I know the last time I saw Gotham FC when they were branded Sky Blue FC and they were playing in Piscataway. The thing that annoyed me most of all was trying to get there. I remember almost an hour walk from the damn train station just to get to the damn stadium, which was in the middle of nowhere, only to find out that I can actually take a bus to the place and all I had to do was show some ID. Go figure. At least I got my steps in. But they've literally turned it around. We've heard the horror stories out of that organization. Good Lord. And now they're, and now here they are. From where they were to where they are, and I'm just going to ask all you guys, is this, a fantastic worst to first story when it comes to women's soccer? Lanre, you start first, man.
No, I don't think I could find any other as great of an example of worst to first in women's soccer. When Gotham was called Sky Blue, they were in the complete doldrums. They weren't getting anybody out to their games. They were just a hot mess of an organization. Nobody wanted to be associated or affiliated with them. And a lot of the reports coming out regarding the underbelly of the culture of that club were just frankly really just revolting. Now, with this huge turnaround, the 2022 season, they were dead last, I believe, in the league. And then last season,
when we were worried, we were literally worried about them. I said, what's wrong
very worried.
Why you keep losing every blasted game? What's wrong with you guys, girls? And then they turned it around. Mark, you said this last season during the run. And I remember you used the word jealous a lot. Do you still feel that way?
Of course. I mean, you watched an organization take the steps that they needed to, solidify a roster, and they had quality bench players. And yet we can't do that in our arena. And they won a championship before we did. New York City won a championship before we did. I was watching. Yeah, it's just listen. We joked that 2018 was our year. It was, but we didn't. And you watch, like I said, you watch these other teams build. We're not going to sign a Messi, right? But where's our signing? We got promised at the end of last season. The front office talks about how they're going to give us what we're asking for. They're going to invest. Where's the investment? They talk about Morgan. All right, he's returning from injury. You didn't sign him. He was already here. Van Zier returned from injury. He's now
healthy since he got here.
Yeah.
I openly asked, have you been?
Of course, we're jealous. We should be jealous. This is an organization that has shown that they went and won the championship, and then what do? They go out and they sign more players. They want to be even better. They're talking about wanting to be a dynasty, right? The last dynasty that we had around here.
They may not be far off. They're calling.
In the 90s,
during the broadcast, I heard the word, dare I say it, super team.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
I mean,
right? But
it wasn't me.
But
during the broadcast,
they have not only did they make strides to make themselves better, and they drove themselves and believed in themselves and got all the way to the championship game on the road and win it. Okay. And then what do they do in the offseason? They sign additional players to make themselves even better. Now, they're not at 100% right now. We know that they're not 100%. Yes, disappointing loss, 1-0. Did I want to see Alex Morgan score that goal? Of course not. Nobody wanted it. Maybe her parents.
But you came to the game to see Alex Morgan. So there you go.
I'm sure that there were people there, but that's like I said. That's
so there you
go. When we had we had almost 20,000 in the pouring rain for our home opener, and we play a great game, but it doesn't carry over. We go on the road, and we were talking about it earlier. Our schedule sucks. All right, between Columbus, now we have Miami at home with a depleted roster because of playing during the international break. You have the second team playing an Open Cup game Wednesday. So how many of them are going to be available? And that was the other thing. Kasule got called up, so he's not even going to be with the second team.
No, he won't be there.
Oh, so here you have probably one of our most
international squads. Remember?
Yeah, because even
squad greater than club squad.
Right. So
always
here you've got a completely depleted team going up against Miami. Okay,
who's also depleted themselves.
Yeah,
right.
Well, but my point being, their depleted squad may be better than our depleted squad. So we don't know. And then it's onwards and upwards. We've got to go to Orlando. Who wants to go to Orlando?
And we got Cincinnati.
Easter weekend, mind you. Okay, I was hearing some of the questions about some of the traveling people saying, "Oh my God, how much does it cost to stay in Orlando?" Yeah, it costs that much Easter weekend because my kids are out of school. Everybody else's kids are out of school. So that week, everybody goes to Florida. It's spring break.
Not me. I'll be working.
You mean both?
Not me. All right. Let's.
It's
running out of show. Let's put this in the bed. Okay. According to the great John Amaral, Wednesday. Okay, they're playing Motown, New York Red Bull 2.
Thursday.
This is Thursday. Excuse me.
Thursday, Motown is playing the NYCFC 2.
Correct. NYCFC.
Yeah, and they're playing that one at MSU.
Wednesday, of course, also on MSU. Go support them. And, of course, Red Bull 2 is facing U.S. Open Cup. I've said this before. If, of course, you were in love with New York Open Cup soccer, regardless of – look, all we know is one thing. A New York Red Bull team will be facing somebody in the U.S. Open Cup. Go see him. Okay.
Free parking.
Free parking. Weather advisory. The rain is going to suck. Let's talk about Inter Miami. And, of course, this is where the predictions come in. I'm going to have mine for last. Michael, you have the honor of going first. What are we seeing as the final score?
Oh, boy. I'll be kind. Miami 3, Red Bulls 1. I just think, and maybe it could be worse. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope the Red Bulls surprise me. But I just think, as Mark said, about having a better depleted team. And I think when you have people like Suarez and Alba, they could still work some magic once in a while.
One third of FC Barcelona you're going to be facing against, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit.
But I'll say 3-1 for the visitors.
Lanre.
4-1 to the visitors.
4-1 to the visitors. Another loss. Okay.
Jeez.
Mark.
Really bad.
I'm going to go 2-2 draw. I think if AJ's in goal, I don't think anything gets past 2 goals. I just and I've seen him in Hartford, destroyed 7-1. Right? I was there. I watched it. It was half the first team was playing. Half the first team was playing with the 2 team, and it was a collection of we've never played together. We don't know how to play together. It was like, all right, y'all work in the same system. That's why I always said Forsberg knows our system, so he fits right in. He doesn't need much integration time. He knows the Red Bull way. But I think 2-2. I think somehow, some way, we walk out with a point, and I'll be happy if we walk out with a point too. By the way,
That'd be a win.
Since I'm the one writing, last place in this group, that every prediction that haven't ended badly, I'm going to say this: 2-1 win. Us.
Oh, we're done.
No,
I know a lot. I know a lot. I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing to lose. Okay, I'm dead last right now. I'm starting the season dead last with almost 1 point. That's it. That's all we get. We have a system where we track the predictions at the end of the year. 3 points to the winners. For 3 points to the winners, 1 point if you get a tie, 0 if you lost. And I'm dead last right now. I just got 1 for that. The 1 point that I got from the 1-1 drive versus Houston. So versus Nashville. That's it. Every other prediction ended in like I said was going to lose. They won. So that's so what did you guys give Garry? Like I said, I got nothing to lose. We'll see what happens. And maybe we'll get it right. Otherwise, I'll stay dead last. Michael Lewis can be found ubiquitously in Front Row Soccer. So check out their website. I think it's frontrowsoccer.com, Michael.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay. And he also has a terrific book, which is right now sitting on my shelf because I read it, of course, from cover to cover. It's all about the Lancers. Remember them up in Rochester? They had a hell of this was one of the great soccer stories in the New York area. And it was even detailed. So if you ever have a chance, check out that book. And you will be not only be entertained, but you'll be educated on how one of the great sides of this state can produce, other than the Cosmos and the Americans. And I'm naming squads. I mean, we remember when the Red Bull 2 was playing in USL with USL, and they were fighting. These two squads would be fighting to the death. I mean, that's how good this program was until it disappeared. Only be left with a stadium. It's almost shameful what happened to that club. And there's a book about it chronicling how good this squad was and the history behind it. So give that book a read. Next week, it's all about Inter Miami, and of course, we're going to talk about New York. Do Gotham play this weekend, Mark, or no?
I honestly don't know.
I think they got 2 weeks before.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
But there will be a home opener on Sunday for New York Red Bull 2. So we got
a lot of soccer
away at Portland.
Excuse me. Repeat.
Gotham play Sunday away at Portland.
So Sunday.
That's why I didn't know.
Thank you. So a Sunday. So you got a doubleheader. You got Sunday away at Portland, and of course you got New York Red Bulls 2. Hopefully the weather will be nice after Wednesday because it's going to not be so nice on Wednesday night. And of course, if you hear that, hear that wonderful song, that basically tells us officially. Supported us from the very beginning. And we're going to continue on, hopefully for 100 more. I'm probably going to have long hair and beard when that goes along. But as long as we keep doing this, we're going to have a whole lot of fun, and we will all see you next week. Speaking of, Carlos Cano will return, and hopefully Miguel Nunez, who is probably going to have a lot to scream about if the game ever goes south. For Michael Lewis, and I thank you, sir, very, very much for all of us here in the discussion group. Please do not be a stranger. You're always welcome to come and talk about soccer. You're one of our living legends. Do stop by. For Lanre Badmus, for Mark Coates, and myself, Garry Redmond, thank you all so much for joining us this last hour. Actually, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. But as always, you guys, we'll see you guys next week. Don't worry, don't forget, if you guys have any feedback, questions, or any suggestions on how to make this show, our show, your show a lot better, please drop us an email at rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. gmail.com. We would love to hear your feedback after all this. And until then, we will see you all next week. Until then, good night and goodbye for now.